I can't wait to see this. MHP no filter.
Let's see how this works out. All right, this morning we learned that the word of 2017 was feminism. So apparently, feminism was searched more, 70% more, in fact, than it was last year on Merriam-Webster's online search. 70% more than in the year that the first woman was the nominee for a major political party. Feminism was the word. Now, several years ago, I took part in the Ms. Foundation's My Feminism Is project, one of my favorite t-shirts to wear all the time, came from that campaign. It was a great campaign. The goal of that campaign was to get individuals, groups, communities, institutions, organizations to provide their own definition of feminism, even though the Ms. Foundation had a pretty good one. Feminism is the social, economic, and political equality of all genders. But I already have a definition of feminism that's a little different than that. I'd offered it to Jezebel when asked back in 2014, and it is just this. I believe that feminism is a question. It's this. What truths are missing here? Our job as feminists isn't so much to hold up any particular public policy agenda, but simply to keep asking that question over and over again. What truths are missing here? It doesn't mean that what we believe is untrue, but that there are often missing truths. Who are we excluding? Who's not at the table? What part of our analysis is inadequate or incomplete? What truths are missing here? If that's my definition of feminism, then it is my responsibility in a moment like this to ask that question of this enthusiastic moment, this celebratory moment, this Me Too moment. What truths are missing here? I sense a lot, but I'm going to suggest just 3 tonight. I think we're missing the truth of recent history. There's a swift and sure backlash just over the horizon. I think we're missing the truth that individual retribution is not the same thing as institutional justice. And finally, I think we are missing the truth of what our greatest responsibility is here, and that it is not to our own silence breaking, but rather to ensuring that there are resources for other women. Each day, we wake up to more news of more garbage. More high-profile men losing the luster of their public platform and reputation. It seems like they're falling off behind these allegations of sexual assault and harassment. And it seems so exciting, people have started to call it the reckoning. It is stunning in some ways, but damn it, it is no reckoning. As surely as Time magazine, December 2017, acknowledges the silence breakers, I just want to say whose space was not silent. Anita Hill broke the silence in 1993. And excuse me, but girls on college campuses, girls, and I'm using that word, girls, babies, barely out of high school, have been fighting for Title IX enforcement for more than a decade. And excuse me, but veterans of our foreign wars have been talking about sexual assault in the military and rape and the ways in which the chain of command has made it impossible. It hasn't been silent, we've been deaf, and that is different. And it is important to acknowledge that difference because it will remind you that the backlash is coming. You see, if the man who raped you isn't famous, or interesting, or powerful, or rich, it's hard to tell if anyone would care. So let's stop on that second truth. Because you see, individual retribution is not the same thing as institutional accountability. You and I both know better than to believe that a rich guy supposedly being fired, punished, removed, constitutes the end of patriarchy, misogyny. We know that you cut off one little stinking nasty head, the next one will pop right back up in its place. We know, in fact, that the swiftness of these firings is indicative of corporate ass covering, not corporate cultural change. We know that this many-headed beast requires something far more strategic, something far different than bandwagoning. You see, Me Too started out as black girl empathy, woman to child. It cannot end as white girl bandwagoning to just get bad apples out of office. It has to be about something more, which brings me to my third truth that is rooted in Virginia Woolf. For everybody who wasn't an English major, let me remind you about Judith Shakespeare. Judith Shakespeare is not real. Judith Shakespeare is Virginia Woolf's imaginary sister of William Shakespeare. She asked, what would happen if William Shakespeare had a sister? If William Shakespeare had a sister, would we have all the sonnets and plays and everything that William Shakespeare wrote, but just have them in a feminine hand? Would we have all of that genius, but just have them in a woman's voice? And in fact, the answer that Virginia Woolf comes up with is most decidedly hell no. Of course we wouldn't, because Judith would not have been left alone. She would have been snubbed and slapped and lectured and exhorted, because every man in Judith Shakespeare's world would have needed to prove he was smarter than Judith. So here's my suggestion. The next time, and it'll surely be in the next 32 minutes, that some boy acts up at work, instead of firing him, I mean we can, that's fine, but let's ask about the states that have harbored these criminals. Let's ask about the companies and the corporations. Let's hold them accountable. Here's how I suggest we hold them accountable. 77 cents on every damn dollar. You know, that's the wage cap, just for fun. So, Matt Lauer made $20 million a year. I'm going to call it $15 million for women. And then, you know, Harvey Weinstein was worth like, what was it, like $150 million, you say? It's $115 million, right? And then what the Uber dude was worth like $5 billion. So that's going to be $3.1 billion into this pot. Every single time one of these suckers goes down, we're going to hold their corporation accountable. And they're going to give us 77 cents on the dollar for these suckers. And you know where the money's going to go? It's going to go into the Virginia Woolf Room of Her Own Foundation. And here's what the foundation's going to do, because it's going to be worth billions in like a week and a half. We're going to choose a board. And I say Salomisha Tillett, Rebecca Traister, Janet Mock, Anita Hill, and hell, I'm pretty egalitarian on this. We can put Peggy Noonan and Nikki Haley and Condi Rice on it too, because this is about women. And here's what they're going to do. Every single year, this board is going to choose some judges, and they're going to pick 50 women, and they're going to give them $1 million over 4 years. $1 million over 4 years. And here is the responsibility these women have. Thinking right. Thinking right, thinking right, thinking right, thinking right, thinking right, thinking right, thinking right. And some of them will be traditional writers, you know, with their PhDs and that kind of thing. And some of these women, like my Grandma Rosa, they might not even be literate. They might have to write by telling their story. It won't matter. These will all just be people who've been pushed out by mediocrity. They're going to have a room of their own at $250,000 a year, paid for by these boys. Room of Our Own Foundation. Because this is not about individual retribution. And because we know the backlash is coming, we know this is no damn reckoning, and we need to be ready with 4 walls, and a door and a key that we can lock so we can think, we can write, be some boy trying to show us his penis, because that's not what anyone wants to see. What truths are missing here? That it is about more than just your individual story, even when your individual story matters. And we got to start building structure right now. Right now. If feminism is the word, that I say hashtag pay women to think, and hashtag pay women